Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob, I'll be your host. In the first edition of Dungeons & Dragons, in the Player's Guide, there's an appendix in the back that gives rules for psionic powers. And any class could have the psionic powers, and they've got a list of powers and everything for the psionic abilities. When second edition came out, they didn't include psionic powers in the Player's Handbook. Later on, they came out with a handbook to go with the Player's Guide to give you an opportunity to use psionic abilities in your Dungeons & Dragons game. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. The complete Psionics Handbook for 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons. This book has 128 pages and a copyright of 1991. This is the 9th printing of this book, which means it came out in 1996. It was published by TSR. All of the artwork in this book is pretty much in black and white. There are a couple of full-page pictures that have color to them, but not very many. So let's go ahead and look at that artwork. The first picture we see when we open the book is one of the few full-page color photos. But most of the artwork in this book is in black and white. And the artwork is pretty good for the most part. However, a lot of it does come off with a kind of comic book feel to it. To use this book, what you're going to need is a copy of this book and the Player's Guide for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. You also need a full set of dice, which consist of a 20-sided die, a 12-sided die, preferably two 10-sided dice for rolling both percentiles and tens, an 8-sided die, a 6-sided die, and a 4-sided die. This book gives you all the rules you need to play a character with psionic abilities. It mostly focuses on a new class for your game called the Psionicist. The prime requisites for this class are Constitution and Wisdom. But in order to play a character of this class, you're going to need a Constitution of 11, an Intelligence of 12, and a Wisdom of 15. There are 6 different abilities for psionics in this game, known as disciplines. And they are the Clairsentient, the Psychokinetic, Psychometabolic, Psychoporative, Telekinetic, and Metapsionic. Each of these have their own powers within them, and there's a chapter devoted to each of them. The major powers are known as sciences, and the minor powers are known as schools. The Psionicist gets a 6-sided die for hit points, on up to 9th level, and after that he only gets 2 hit points per level. And they have the Psionicist saving throws and everything in here, and his THACO. Each power in this game has its own power number. And the way it's generated is you take the attribute that co-aligns with that power, and you plus or subtract a modifier that's listed with the power. And then you roll a 20-sided die and have to roll over that number in order to succeed. When you roll under, you fail. And you also get for your character Psionic Strength Points, or PSPs. And those are figured out based on your level and attribute. And there's a chart in here to figure them up. And you spend so many points to use your powers. If you fail at activating your power, you still have to spend at least half of the cost, which is the cost of failure. The PSPs are kind of like hit points. You spend them when you use your powers, and you regain them as you rest, but they regain a lot faster than hit points gain on their own. There are also rules in this book for creating psionic powers for characters who aren't psionicists, called wild talents. And you got like a 1% chance of having psionic abilities without being a psionicist. And that's pretty neat, I guess. And they never get as powerful as a regular psionicist, but you still have some psionic ability. It also tells you what races can and can't be a psionicist. The only ones that could be a psionicist are the humans, the halflings, the dwarves, the gnomes, the elves, and the half-elves. And the humans can gain as many levels as the game goes, no cap. The other races, like other classes for 2nd edition, they have a cap, so they can't really get as powerful in the psionicists as the humans can, which is something I never really liked in 1st and 2nd edition, but, you know, that's just a thing. There's also a bit in here explaining how you can use the psionicist in your campaign, how to add it in, and it also gives a description on how psionicists and psionic powers are perceived in the other published game settings that TSR put out, like Greyhawk, Ravenloft, Forgotten Realms, Spelljammer, and so forth. In the back of this book, it gives you a few new psionic creatures that you can add to your game. And it also gives you a listing of creatures that were in the monster manual that are listed as psionic powers, but now with this book it gives you a list of how to redo them to use the powers in this book, which is pretty neat. And that's really all there is to it. There's not much in here except a lot of psionic powers and a brand new class to add to your Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition game. Which brings me to 3 questions. Would I play a character using the rules in this book? I would if I was interested in playing a psionicist, but I've never really been interested in playing a psionicist in a game, so probably not. Would I use this book in a game I run? Absolutely. If you want to play a psionicist in my game, who am I to stop you? Would I recommend this book? If you're going to want psionicists in your 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons game, you absolutely need this book. It has all the rules you need to play a psionicist and add psionic powers into your game. And that's really all I got to say about the complete Psionics Handbook for 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you for joining me and a look at this book, and hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.